Do you like power-hungry villains? Do you like investigation? How about a craving for flesh? Well, I have a backwards-handed, maniacal, manipulative fiend for you because today we are going to take a look at the first requested monster for this series. How do you DM the Rakshasa? Rakshasas have appeared in every edition of Dungeons & Dragons, so we got ourselves a meaty one today, lads. Starting with first edition, we have the monster shown off as a kind of chill guy, sitting in some robes having a good smoke of the pipe. But for as chill they present themselves, the text gives away their evil nature, but more on that later. Weirdly enough, I can't see the backwards hands on this art, so I'm going to guess that comes later on. Speaking of which, second edition. This art expands on what was established before in first edition with the robes and pipe. But you can clearly see that something is off with the hand holding the scepter there. That is because in this edition, the hand just folds backwards. So yeah, imagine that disturbing image all you want. The only problem I have with these depictions so far is that there is not a lot to represent their actual evil nature for us to see. But that may change. Let's head on to third edition. Alright, so far, this is by far my favorite art for these monsters. It is striking with the blue coloring, but the imposing stance of the Rakshasa would be terrifying to any adventurer. If I saw that, I'd be crapping my pants. We see a tiger-headed Rakshasa that stands over human skulls. The monster is in fine clothing once again, and magic flows from its hands. So this gives us a much better picture to what these guys are about, in my opinion. The creature stands with a nobility and arrogance one would assume comes with having a place of power, and with it standing over the bones of its victims can even represent the belief of being better than them. Truly, the only thing missing in the art is detail in the hands, where the palms are said to be on the back. But I have the feeling that the artist did not want to do it, and I can't say I blame them because I'd imagine that it is quite the task to do since I can barely imagine it in my head for some reason. I can only hope that 4th edition is as good as this art here. So in 4th edition, we see multiple variations of the same monster, a common thing to see in the 4th edition monster manual. The Rakshasa warrior, archer, assassin, noble, and knight. We get art for the warrior, assassin, and noble. So how is it? Well, the warrior is cool, showing off a Rakshasa that is in battle attire rather than noble clothes. It honestly reminds me of Battle Beast, but orange. The assassin art is neat, as it perches and takes on the form of a Black Panther. But the noble is the best in my opinion, as it shows what we have come to expect from these guys since 1st edition. A noble in fine clothes holding a scepter and a skull with 2 other skulls hidden behind pillows. Probably a representation of their nature being hidden under the facade of nobility. A cool detail in all of these is that you can clearly see the backwards hands and their palms for the first time. It is weird to be able to see this, as it again boggles my mind on how the artist could have fully visualized and created this. All of the art is cool, but I do think the noble is really the one needed overall. It is what we know as the Rakshasa, and the others could have been just other monsters, and no one would have blinked an eye, really. Other than that, let's get on to 5th edition. So here, we see a return to what we saw in 1st edition for the Rakshasa. A tiger standing in fine clothes yet again, smoking a pipe. There is no hint to their evil nature, so if there was one thing that I had a problem with, it would be that. On to 5.5e. So this is definitely my second favorite piece of art for the Rakshasa, behind 3rd edition. Not only do we see the classic tiger, but we also see other Rakshasa animal forms. Here, we see a lot of detail. The first thing that I'll point out is that once again, the fine clothes return. All of these Rakshasas have something about them and their demeanor that gives off evil politician vibes. I like the little things here, like their greed being shown with the gems to the side, their power shown off with the official looking documents, their sophistication shown with the chalices, and finally, their potential evil nature lying in the background with a skull holding a candle on the bookshelf, almost as if they just don't value death at all. In fact, they find it so amusing that they would put a candle inside one of their victims' skulls. Overall, just a true work of art that honestly needs more attention because it is just that good. Truly, I would have never thought a thing about these guys if it wasn't for the captivating imagery that 5.5e brings to them. So as for the lore, we begin with the obvious truth that these creatures are manipulative and evil. They come from the Nine Hells and use their manipulative nature to gain positions of power, and then use this power to kidnap and eat people. Another interesting thing is that as they come from the Nine Hells, you would think of them as devils, but they're not. They're something different. It's kind of like how Tiamat comes from the Nine Hells, but is not a devil. Just due to this monster is one of the few, I think, that could make an actual villain in a horror adventure. But wait, there's more! They do have a resistance to magic, but tales have been spread that blessed heroes have been able to kill them specifically with crossbow bolts, arrows, and others of the sort. While Rakshasas are known for their backwards hands, this is actually just the most common form of deformity they take on, and whatever deformity they have carries through magical disguise as well. The lore isn't long, but I can tell you that there is a lot of possibility for it. The Rakshasa has a 17 AC, 221 HP, 40 foot speed, and a +8 initiative, 14 strength, 17 dexterity, 18 constitution, 13 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and 20 charisma, giving it no neutral or negative ability scores. A +10 deception, and +8 insight, and +8 perception makes sure that this monster will always be able to position itself above anyone else in a conversation. It is vulnerable only to piercing damage from weapons that are held by creatures under a blessed spell, and immune to charmed and frightened conditions. It has 60 feet of true sight, and the common and infernal languages. Moving on to its traits, it has greater magic resistance, making it so that magic effects in fact have no effect on it, and fiendish restoration. Right on to its actions, there are multi-attack, Curse Touch, which has a curse effect where the target cannot gain from resting at all, Baleful Command, which causes a DC 18 Wisdom save, where failure causes 8d6 psychic damage and the frightened and incapacitated conditions. And Spellcasting, allowing it to cast Detect Magic, Detect Thoughts, Disguise Self, Mage Hand, Minor Illusion, Fly, Invisibility, Major Image, and Plane Shift. That is the entire stat block, and wow. For a CR13 monster, does this pack a huge punch. Everything this monster has works to allow it to become a formidable foe even against level 20 characters, I think, and I can tell you why right now. Now, I'd be willing to bet that most of you are asking, how in the Nine Hells does he think that? Well, here is the thing about Rakshasas. They don't stop until they succeed, even if they have to play the extremely long game or the extremely political game. So you want to run a Rakshasa. Let me tell you where to start. The Rakshasa you run should be in the shadows, hidden in a position of power that others don't look at often, but powerful enough to command others. You want to keep it secretive and often out of sight of others. When he is in conversation, he should be extremely diligent and well-spoken, given a false sense of calm and charm. So, for those that this Rakshasa does speak to, they are often on his side. With that said, let's say there is talk of a cult kidnapping people around town. Let's say secretly the Rakshasa is the head of this cult, and these people they kidnapped are eaten by the Rakshasa. Sounds like a good mystery for players to me. Now, if we were to talk about combat, which is inevitable, I'm sure, your players are going to have a fun time. First of all, the elephant in the room is that magic is just not effective on this monster at all. So there goes half the list of classes that could be useful. Unless they have Bless, as hinted at in the lore. Now, the other players will need piercing weapons in order to do anything that would amount to good damage. So first, the Rakshasa is going to use its beginning rounds of combat to use Baleful Command on those that may have weapons that can hurt it. And honestly, I can see it letting the followers, that would be his cannon fodder, do the rest until there are no more of them, in which case the Rakshasa will not let up by using its Curse Touch multi-attack, making sure to curse all enemies before going in for the kill, just in case they try to escape. The rest of the combat will be it either escaping and continuing the devious plan you have set up for it, or straight killing the party members, as it is really up to you. For the escape, Rakshasas have plenty of spells to do so, but the Baleful Command and Curse Touch are going to be the killer actions if you go that route. Either way, if the Rakshasa turns up dead, it has the Fiendish Restoration, which makes it so that it just reappears in the Nine Hells, ready to strike again whenever the time comes. When that will be is another thing, because it is said in the lore that if they do die, they are willing to wait for multiple generations until it strikes again. This meaning that in the long run, you may be powerful enough to kill it, but your great-great-great-grandchildren? Probably not. And that's when it strikes. It doesn't kill you, it kills your bloodline. And that is a true villain right there. So Rakshasas are crazy powerful, and as I said, could even put up a great challenge to higher level characters because of the vast resources that the position the creature has could allow it to use. Keep this one a close secret until the time is right, because your players are going to love the twist and the fight. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, let's roll.